Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming to you with the weekly comic book roundup. We've covered part of this most recent week's comics. Now let's keep on going. Start kicking things off with Moon Knight number 5. Where we left off in Moon Knight, finally admitted just why it was he had been taking his mask off. He didn't want to see his face, and he had dealt with. He also just had his fortune completely ripped away from him. But he's been dealing with a shadowy foe, and, well, his most recent bout dealt with the cop and with him losing his fortune, well, was at the hands of, or was with an agent of said shadowy foe. So, the issue largely goes back and forth between Moon Knight and therapy. He mostly talks about his relationship with his father. So for those unaware, Moon Knight's father was a rabbi. But Moon Knight, Mark Spector, is, has told all the stories, and he came to, think of his father as being a weak man. A god who, he worshipped a god who let his people be cast out and go through all manner of horrors. And what kind of god does that, right? But he has since realized that, he was dead, and he gave up the god he'd been raised under for a god that just said, "Hey, I'll bring, I'll bring you back from the dead." However, one of his more recent associates, Terry, tells him he knows who's behind all the attacks. Apparently, it's Soldier. Doing some investigation, turns out Soldier is, or at least was, Hydra. But checks in with Soldier's mom. But something's going on at the Midnight Mission. And it turns out Soldier has been Soldier's not behind it all. In fact, he's there he's being used as bait for Moon Knight. Moon Knight's barely able to save Soldier, but it turns out that Terry is not really Terry. He is, in fact, Zodiac. And that is where the issue ends. With the Midnight Mission seemingly destroyed. The Moon Knight just keeps on delivering. It's been good so far, issue by issue. I seriously hope that this is a long-running Moon Knight series. It'd be nice to see a long-running Moon Knight book. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Spider-Woman number 17. Where we left off, Jess had stopped her brother and got injured in the process. But so she's the night nurse is checking in on her because Jess is wondering why it is that her broken arm isn't healing as quickly as it should. Basically, she's overtaxed her healing abilities. It also should be noted that her cast has been signed by various friends: Carol, Danny, Clint, Luke, Jessica, Tony, Natasha, various others. But she asked if Night Nurse would keep an eye on her son while she goes to visit the movie set that her friends and PI partner Lindsay McCabe is working on. Apparently, the star of the movie is a big fan of Spider Woman, but Spider Woman turns out that the actress in question. Let me find her name right quick. Stevie Siconia is a fan of Spider-Woman, and she's also trying to hoping maybe Spider-Woman could introduce her to the Avengers, get some good PR for the upcoming movie, you know. But Spider-Woman gets to watch an action sequence. Turns out Stevie kind of has a habit of getting a little too physical with the actors before the stunt people with the stunt before she gets replaced for the stunts. So we see the stunt get pulled off. Goes great. And the set is attacked by ninjas. Turns out that the ninjas are after Lindsay because, well, Lindsay stole. Lindsay owes some money to a crime boss in Madripoor. Lindsay said she'd get the money back to him eventually. But, yeah. So, we had a really neat fight scene which is done. It's still in front of a green screen with no sound effects and little editor's notes. Should there be sound effects? I don't know. We'll fix it in post. It doesn't work like that. But, yeah. And Spider-Woman asks Lindsay if she's a good mother, but so Lindsay wants to go wash off before they discuss everything. Sends Jess to craft services. When Jess returns, though, Lindsay's printer is ransacked, and there's a note on the mirror. "This is all your fault, Jessica Drew." That is where the issue ends. Seemingly, and as at least the next issue, the next couple issues, will be tying in with the Devil's Reign crossover. What's going on with Lindsay likely, somewhat, tangentially at least, relates to those events. Spider-Man's also been a fun book from the get-go. It's been doing the usual fun Jessica Drew stuff, and balancing with kind of more heavier emotional stuff too, and it's been doing a really good job of that. So, but anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Kang the Conqueror, number 4. Where we left off, Kang, in his quest for time for Ravonna, has once again found her at the end of time. Now, Ravonna is seemingly a warrior woman, but. So Kang and Ravonna work together. They take down various tyrants of the far-flung future. But Kang makes his advance towards her, and she very clearly rebukes him. So he becomes the Conqueror. I guess he finds an old neurokinetic armory, makes additional weapons, goes through further conquering Arthur, the Cosmosians, Immortus, the Shi'ar, the Skrull, and the only realm left not controlled by Kang is Ravonna's. So it's 100 years in the future, yet another Ravonna. Or further in the future, I should say. But rather than try and conquer her, he tries to win her over. Seems like seems like he may be able to. One of his minions, Baltag, kills Ravonna. And he realizes he is in the loop. All this was meant to be. but he thinks he's found exactly how to save Ravonna. Basically, she will be saved by his final conquest, and that is where the issue ends. So yeah, Kang the Conqueror has been an interesting expansion, so to speak, on the origin of Kang the Conqueror. And it's his obsession with Ravonna is quite interesting, especially the fact that that Ravonna seemingly continues to show up, and as he explains it, it's different. It's a different, different, but still her. It's another interesting take on things. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Darkhold Wasp. So, in Darkhold Alpha, the Wasp was one of the heroes that supposed to read from a little bit from the book to kind of so that they could prevent, so that they could basically prevent Chthon from coming forth, but was corrupted. So this version of Wasp, unhappy she's still the Wasp, unhappy housewife. Hank is constantly forgetting. A constant theme. It is hinted that maybe Hank Pym, Wasp's Janet Van Dyne's now ex-husband, was cheating on her. But eventually, but Kang actually, says, who cares for you, Janet? And she's constantly trying to connect with Hank, but he's focusing more on his work. And like I said, there's those constant suggestions that maybe he's cheating on her. It's possible he's going to be allowed to rejoin the Avengers, but apparently he used too much force with the Elf Queen, and so he's scared. But she goes into his lab one night to see what he's doing. Apparently he's working on the robot that in normal continuity he created as a means of basically a threat to attack the Avengers so that he could stop it and save the day. But him and Jan get into a bit of an argument. Things get physical. She picks up a jagged shard of glass and stabs Hank. And seeing Hank's bloody body, and her hands covered in blood, she realizes she's free, and that is where the issue ends. Okay, and a murderous wasp. The Darkhold one-shots are definitely interesting, to say the least. I like how it references older points in Avengers history, like when Henry Peter Gyrick forced the Avengers to trim down their lineup to 7. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batman vs. Bigby, A Wolf in Gotham, number 3. Where we had left off, Bigby had run into Batman now twice, once as Batman and now again as Bruce Wayne. But he knows who Batman truly is. Doesn't care, but he knows. Meanwhile, a group led by the Batman villain Bookworm is planning a rather large book-related heist, which goes off after they steal a fleet of bookmobiles. This leads to a massive explosion in the Gotham City Library. Batman calls for basically everyone to help out, save the injured, protect evidence, so on and so forth. Bigby goes in, however, and also does what he can to save those involved. But Batman discusses what's happened with Gordon and the visiting detective, who is I think who is in fact Cinderella, and he posits that it's Bookworm behind the whole thing. Mainly explaining that he has agents in all the major gangs, and they're all in the dark. He had someone in Bookworm's gang, but they retired. But Batman's current plan is to take down this mysterious wolf, as he now knows it is definitively real. So one of the Dick Grayson, Robin, is trying to get Bigby to go to the dump, and then he pulls this off and fires a smoke grenade at Bigby, and doesn't really do much good. But yeah, Bigby in wolf form goes after Batman, planning to finish him off, and that is where the issue ends. It's an interesting. It's definitely an interesting book. I'm enjoying it, but I think the problem I'm definitely having with it is that it's. I feel like I honestly should have waited until this came out in a collected issue, just read it all at once. But I don't make the best choices always. Anyway, moving on to our last book for the moment, we've got Refrigerator Full of Heads, #2. Where we left off, the axe of Idrisil and other similar artifacts were being gone after by a rather murderous group. Meanwhile, a couple had come to Brody Island just for the summer and found the axe and accidentally discovered how it worked when they cut the head off of a shark, and the shark's head continued to try to eat them. So the issue actually begins, however, in Greenridge, New Jersey. June, the heroine of Basket Full of Heads, is stopped by a couple of feds, though they don't look like feds to her, wanting to know about the axe, or wanting to know what happened. And she says, "Hey, I passed out, came to, they were dead. A lot of people were dead, but my boyfriend was gone, so I left Brody Island, never plan to set foot on the place again." The next day on Brody Island, our heroes are wondering what is the deal with the axe when a biker gang comes after them. It turns out, though, that the biker gang is also is part of the group trying to track down all these artifacts. Our heroes deal with the gang and once they've got the axe in hand, well, heads roll. So, however, to make sure no one keep things quiet, bodies are taken. However, there are 3 bodies, but 2 heads, as one of the heads rolled down the hill. But our heroes interrogate the 2 they've got. A rather bitey shark head is good for that. But someone is looking for the axe of Idrisil and similar artifacts. They know what happened, and the bikers and their employers know what happened on Brody Island the previous year. Back in Greenridge, our feds kidnapped June, planning to take her to Brody Island. And that is where the issue ends. I I really like basketball heads. Refrigerator full heads is fun, but I don't know. It doesn't. It lacks some of the charm that basketball heads have. It's still fun. It's still a fun read though, but not as fun. But anyway, that's gonna do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.